Hello and welcome to Freedom Through Astrology, where we're giving you the keys, and hopefully this recording works. Technical difficulties have been abounding today. This is freedomthroughastrology.com. I'm your astrologer. My name is Donald Patak. There's my contact information, standard YouTube content, and no, my content may not be used to train AI LLMs, unless you're going to cough up a lot of money, more than your CEO. Keys to the reading, because I do read astrology differently. First of all, I read constellation-based astrology, sometimes called true sidereal astrology. It's astrology by the visible sky. In ancient times, astrologers were also astronomers. Tropical astrology fixed the signs to seasons somewhere around 1800 years ago. Astrological ages are showing and proof that the constellations move in the sky. I am reading the planets where they are in the visible sky, as opposed to the way they were back in ancient Rome. With using the visible sky, there are 13 signs. Between Scorpio and Sagittarius, there is the sign of Ophiuchus. It's the sign as symbol is of a person holding a snake by the head and the tail. And in ancient times, a snake symbolized knowledge. So we're holding a snake by the head and tail, controlling or using knowledge. And if you read the mythos, it's Asclepius is one and Ophiuchus is the other. Ideally, the knowledge was gained to heal themselves so they could heal others with similar wounds. That's the ideal, anyways. I use the natural size of the constellation because Mother Nature, in her wisdom, made them all different sizes. Virgo is huge at just under 50 degrees, but your smaller constellations like Aries, Cancer, Libra, Scorpio, Ophiuchus, individually less than 25 degrees each. So with constellations are all different sizes, and I follow that. And I do not use the IAU boundaries. Instead, I use astrological midpoints because the IAU boundaries are arbitrarily drawn. Athens Shmenti noted this in his work when he was looking at the boundary between Scorpio and Ophiuchus, and he found stars from Scorpio over the IAU boundary in Ophiuchus. So he looked at the zodiac belt, last bright star of Scorpio, first bright star of Ophiuchus, what's the halfway point? And he did that through the entire zodiac belt. I use that. I think it's a more accurate system. And one of my cats is trying to join in. I think it's more accurate and it works better. Keys to reading part 2. I interpret sky using evolutionary astrology, which says these are lessons to learn. And within that, you have freedom of choice. Yes, we're going to have these transits. You get to decide how you're going to work with them. Are you going to work towards an ideal, or are you going to slip into what I call the shadows? This is the weekly edition. So these are the universal lessons for everyone. So do have some compassion on your fellow Earth travelers. I still want to call them ground pounders. The one joke of the day. Date and time are based on the Eastern U.S. time zone, as I do live outside of Buffalo, New York. I'm operating within 1 degree of exact. That makes these transits manageable. I could use a wider number of degrees, but that would get overwhelming. And if I'm overwhelmed, you're lost. And finally, our software I'm using is Capricorn by Prometheus, which is going to be re-released through the ISAA. And let's look at our week here. This is the weekly transits to the week of April 6th through the 12th, 2026. We do still have the sun in Pisces. Yes, we're still working through that. Still kind of, I think, in the middle now. Moon is busy this week. It's not as busy as it looks, though, here. It starts in Scorpio and ends in Aquarius. However, it enters Aquarius late Sunday night. So this is really Scorpio through Capricorn for most people, actually. But it does enter Aquarius very late Sunday night. So I do include that. But the moon is going to be one of our active planets for the week because of all those transits. And we do have the last quarter moon in Sagittarius on April 9th. So that'll be Wednesday, I believe, very interestingly. Our active planets of the week, I am including the moon. You're gonna, it's making that many sign changes. It should be respected. Um, for the inner planets, which is usually where this covers, is Mars is the new planet with the transits, and we do have from last week some transits ending with Venus and one new one with Venus. So it's Moon and Mars are the active planets, and then sort of Venus-ish. I am including her this week. We do have a sign change. Mercury is entering Pisces again. It was in Pisces, but then it went retrograde, but now it's back. So we'll be experiencing that on Monday, if I remember correctly. And the long transit that we have, Saturn sextiling Pluto, is ending. And so it'll end this week, which is nice. Give it a little breather, lightening up, so to speak. But we have no retrograde planets. I'll pull this over here. Get our doodle tool. So this is our weekly overview, and we'll start with the moon. As you can see, we start with Scorpio, Tuesday Fucus, Wednesday Sagittarius. We do get, oh my nice lines here. We do get a long transit Wednesday, Thursday into Friday into the PM before it goes into Sagittarius. Not Sagittarius, it goes into Capricorn, and then late Sunday night, it goes into Aquarius. So Aquarius is really the beginning of next week. So we do have a busy moon this week, large focus on Sagittarius, especially with that last quarter moon in Sagittarius on Thursday. In fact, it'll be right about there. So again, moon, one important trend is very important energetically this week. So do pay attention to your emotions and your feelings. This dotted line is transits, above it is transits from last week. And as you can see, we do have Venus with the nodes. We do have the Saturn-Uranus transit ending. We do have that sun squaring Jupiter. But as you can see, that's ending. That's the beginning of our week. And then we finally have new transits starting on Tuesday. So we have a nice Monday envelope closing, and then Tuesday, a new door opening, so to speak. But if you look, there's really very few new transits. The two biggies that we have, the two ones that are going to be important. Mars is going to be sextiling Uranus, individuality, so courage courage and individuality working together, and it'll be conjunct Neptune, and we'll be feeling that next week as well. So courage in your spirituality. And then we do have, like I say, I'm including Venus because she does kind of bookend our transits, because we do have that there, and then she starts here. So Venus is going to have an influence. That's your ability, relationships and creativity will also have an influence in on this week. Here we go. That's your weekly overview. And like I said, there are very few transits. We do have the Mars in the middle, towards through the middle of the week, and then end of the week. So there we go. Let's clear that out, close that out. I'll pull this over here. There we go. And here we have the end of our long transit, Saturn in Pisces, sextile Pluto in Capricorn. Is there a septile in astrology? Me and my rabbit holes. Okay. So Saturn in Pisces, spiritual maturity, spiritual growth, spiritual development. And that's creating an interest in doing the deep work of deep healing and deep inner transformation. So that's your ideal outcome for that. And the shadow here, again, just keep things sweet and simple. Saturn and Pisces can become very spiritually cynical. I don't want to say nihilistic, but very cynical, collapsing into fantasies. Very cynical, very nihilistic, very self-deceptive. And this fuels a deeper wounding of the self and isolation, and resulting in isolation and loneliness. I'm getting pop-up messages here on my phone. I thought they would be stopping, but they're not. It's been one of those days. So that spiritual cynicism, nihilism actually can cause a deeper wounding of the self and resulting in loneliness and isolation. And from last week, we have Venus in Aries sextiling the North Node in Aquarius. Yeah, that was from Saturday. Friday into Saturday. Yeah, I think it was Saturday. Um, Now, Venus in Aries is the courage in relationships, being willing to stand up and assert yourself, maybe even reach out to new people and new friends. Sextiling the North Node in Aquarius. The North Node is your destiny and purpose. And ideally, you know what it is in your birth chart, what your North Node is in your birth chart. And this is how what you're learning now is to make it more authentic to yourself. Well, as you're building your relationships or having courage in your creativity, this is creating an interest in helping you to better work on your destiny and your purpose and making it more true and unique to yourself. The shadow here, Venus in Aries, is falling into fear, trying to manipulate and control people. Doesn't work. And instead of helping you work towards your destiny and purpose, it has you selling out. Because when you fall into fear, it can be anger, it can be cowardice. And that has you create, calling nervousness, and it can actually result in a form of self-sabotage where out of anger you do something that can damage your destiny and purpose, or you're giving in to other people's expectations on that. Yeah, here we go. Yeah, that's right. Saturday, we also have the Sun in Pisces squaring Jupiter in Gemini. So Sun in Pisces, your spiritual identity, you're becoming more spiritually aware, more focused on yourself in a good way. Squares are challenges. And as you become more spiritually aware about yourself, this strengthens and provides the opportunity for you to learn and communicate. I'm going to focus more on the opportunity to learn. I think that's as I was digging into this a little bit more, I think that was better. So as you become more engaged with your life at this moment, it supports the opportunity to learn and reach higher potentials. Self-awareness fuels self-confidence, especially in your ability to learn. The shadow here is falling into illusion and delusion as the false ego. And the square, instead of being an opportunity for strengthening, it becomes a stumbling block. So as you fall into the false ego, this stumbles into a crisis in confidence in your ability to learn, in your ability to communicate. And it almost can create a sense, I'm going to use again the phrase self-sabotage, but in that undermining of those abilities can result in distractions, make an unwillingness to commit to anything. It just, instead of strengthening you, it weakens you. And also on Saturday, these actually, one happened in the morning and one happened early in the day, one happened later in the day. So Venus in Aries trining the South Node. We talked about Venus in Aries, that's courage in your relationships and creativity. A trine is a support. So as you're developing this awareness in relationships, it supports, it helps you become more aware of how you sabotage yourself with pointless and meaningless drama. That's what the South Node is how you hold yourself back with, and in Leo, drama. You become a drama king and a drama queen. How you're holding yourself back with that. And then again, where's your South Node in your birth chart? What would that drama king or queen look like in the context of your birth chart? Very important. I think that's important to know. The shadow here is you fall into that fear, that drama king, drama queen comes out and you do serious damage to your destiny. Okay, we already talked about that. I don't know why that one was there twice. I thought I deleted that. Life happens. And on Sunday, the moon enters Scorpio. Open up to your own deep truths and face your deep truths. And will it be willing to go beyond the superficial, dig deep? I looked into myself. Heraclitus said that. Be willing to look deep, pull back the curtain, so to say, on what you're feeling and why you're feeling. So this is an opportunity to explore your emotional self and explore your soul. Life can appear to be more intense, and be willing to face that intensity. The shadow is falling into the proverbial foul or sour mood and complicating situations that really don't need to be. And losing perspective and falling into this foul mood just has you feeling more wounded. Monday, Mercury enters Pisces, learning about your spirituality and learning how to communicate about your spirituality. I would say more in the beginning, focus on learning about your spirituality and focus on communicating later. But open up to learning but communicating on your spiritual level, your higher learning also about your higher self in a way. Open the mind to new ways of knowing and experiencing the world about you. So, be open to dreams, deja vu, um, just those insights. You have that. Sometimes you just know something's going to happen. Pay attention to those things. Those are the types of events and situations that can arise during a Mercury transit of Pisces. The shadow here is getting distracted, getting lost in your own thoughts, getting lost in illusion, or getting confused even. Possible to become totally mentally lost and distracted in idle fantasies. Tuesday, the moon enters a Fucus. This is a time for emotional healing. So open yourself up to healers, but also open up to learning on how to heal. You don't have to run to the doctor for every single headache. Sometimes all you need to do is remember to pop some aspirin or something. So be open to the opportunity to heal and learning to heal and also releasing those wounds. And know that when you do that, you can be serving as an inspiration for others. And be open to people who can teach you how to heal, as that can help support the healing, support that healing journey, that healing process. The shadow here is you're either refusing to heal or you're taking the knowledge that you have in healing and using that to wound yourself or wound others, and rather deeply. Also on Tuesday, we have one of our Mars transits, Mars in Pisces, sextiling Uranus in Taurus, or Uranus in Taurus, however you want to pronounce it. Mars in Pisces, spiritual courage, creates an interest in finding the strength to be more authentic. Oh, great. There we go. That's why. Wrong time. Oh, well. Yeah, my cell phone just went into black and white mode, so I wouldn't be distracted by these oddball notifications anymore. Yay. So yeah, that spiritual, that's having the courage to be more spiritual and learn about your spirituality, be more aware of it. That helps you to become more authentic. The shadow here is falling into fear, and this is fear based on fantasies. And instead of creating a sense of excitement or interest, that creates nervousness for me. And that's why I interpret the sextile and the shadow is a sense of nervousness. It can be idleness too, possibly, but that undermines your ability to become more authentic. Instead of becoming more authentic, you're selling out and giving into the expectations of others, and you're looking for the lazy way out. The shadow of Taurus can be lazy, or it can be the bull in a china shop. A person who's acting out in a way to get a reaction just because they can. And acting or selling out from fear have you becoming less of who you really are. On Wednesday, we have the moon entering Sagittarius. Emotionally, you're up for something new, something interesting, something exciting. New experiences and things that can bring you joy or spark new interest. So be ready for that. Wednesday, a breath of fresh air, so to speak. The shadow here is getting stuck in a rut and defending the status quo not wanting to take risks. You know, it's like, oh, that sounds too scary. I'm not going to do it. And Thursday, we have the last quarter moon in Sagittarius, and this is really late in the day, 11:42 p.m. Eastern time. So this is the moon in Sagittarius squaring the sun in Pisces. So the moon is really the trigger point here. So as you're up for these experiences, how is that? A square is a strengthening. Remember, square is always an opportunity for you to strengthen yourself. How is that strengthening your spiritual journey? And as you're learning these new things, how is this helping you learn more about your own spiritual nature, your own spiritual self? And in what way could that be a healing experience for you? And I want to always say spirituality instead of religion. Religion is men's rules. Spirituality is your direct connection to the divine. So that's the ideal. These new experiences strengthens your ability to learn more about yourself spiritually. The shadow here is getting stuck in that rut, stuck in the past, staying in the status quo. And instead of the square becoming strengthening, it becomes a stumbling block. It can also be a lock. And that has you caught in these egotistical fantasies and escapism, and you getting lost and stuck in a false identity. On Friday, we have the moon entering Capricorn. So emotionally, it's kind of weird that it happens on Friday. Because Capricorn is a GSD sign, get stuff done. So look for Friday for the potential to be very productive for you in some way, shape, manner, or form. And be willing to look to take on difficult challenges or even learn new skills to help you succeed. Practicing self-discipline can lead to success, and also making that commitment to action will help lead to success. Oh, the shadow here. Got the shadow. The shadow is becoming a control freak and trying to micromanage others in every situation. And this just has you feeling lonely and isolated and alone. On Saturday, we have Mars conjuncting Neptune in Pisces. I really want to call this the spiritual warrior. But it's having this strong sense of spiritual courage and the strength to be present in the moment. I do like that idea of spiritual strength and spiritual courage. Assert your right to be. And Neptune and Pisces for me, I like the way Stephen Forrest says this. Don't just do something, be there. You're learning to be spiritually present, spiritually aware. So this is the strength to do that. And the courage as well. And this help you become more aware of higher potential. So in your life, the shadow is falling into fear. And with Neptune and Pisces, these fears have become deep-seated fears. Also getting lost in self-created delusions and desiring to just escape life. The fear can also drive religious fundamentalism. So everybody has to do what you're doing because, it's just a disaster there, in my opinion. On Sunday, we have Venus in Aries, sextiling Jupiter and Gemini. So here we have our relationships, the courage in relationships, learning to assert yourself. And this is creating an interest in being able to learn and communicate. So opportunity, Jupiter's opportunity. Learning confidence, learning self-confidence, and being willing to stand up for yourself in your relationships can help improve communication and also help you to learn more about others, but others to learn more about you as well. The shadow here is falling into fear and trying to control people with fear. And this can be the bossy person, but I've also, I've worked in teaching for 23 years now. And I can tell you some of these helpless students that play it up are really good at controlling and manipulating people. So even there, it's a way of trying to control, manipulate people that creates a crisis in confidence, fuels that crisis in confidence, undermines the ability to learn and communicate. In fact, distorts it, if not destroys it. And finally, late Sunday night, we have the moon entering Aquarius. Um, and this is the will, the ability, and the desire to want to feel authentic and feel what you're really feeling in your heart. Um, just to give you an example, me and some friends were at a funeral. A friend of ours had died. Everybody was crying. You lost this guy. It was a tragic accident, the way he died and everything. And all these people are crying, and we're together in our group, and we're just chuckling to ourselves because while everybody's, and I get to crying. We were remembering all the practical jokes that he pulled on us, and we were telling all the jokes, and that's what made, for us, that made it bearable, remembering all the good times. And even when we went up to the family, and it's like, and they're looking at us, and it's like, hey, we were laughing because we told them, your son, we don't know if you knew this about him, but he was the biggest practical joker. When anybody was having a bad day, he knew how to get you out of a bad mood and get you into a good mood. That's the moon in Aquarius. It's helping you to feel authentic and feel what you're really feeling. Um, and that's what we were feeling at then. It's just a story illustrating the moon in Aquarius because that's what we were feeling. And we were not ashamed to feel that way and to laugh and enjoy the moment, and enjoy the memories. So ideally, you're learning to feel authentic and feeling what you're feeling inside and being willing to express it and share it. The shadow is becoming disengaged and alienated because the rules say you're supposed to feel this way. If we went into that funeral feeling crappy, being wanting to cry because everybody else was, it wouldn't have been a real experience. The other thing is acting out pointlessly and irrationally. So that's the other shadow here. And that's where we end our week. So do follow me on social media. I'm on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. You'll see daily deep dives on Facebook and Instagram. You'll also see them on this place called the Digital Soul Space. Um, these other companies are making billions of dollars off your data, and you really aren't getting much, if anything, off of it. Digital Soul Space is hosted on the mighty networks. You control your data and how it gets used, even if it's linked to you. Excuse me there. There's a free version and a paid version. The You get a month of the complete site, and then you go to the free version, which gets you limited access. Site gets you paid version gets you full access. 100% of all money raised goes to maintaining the site and paying for all the costs and all that, what have you. You pay for these sites with your data and with all that advertising. There's no advertising on the DSS. 4 great moderators. It's a bully and troll free zone. You got a concern, you voice it, and they will act. They are very good on acting on that. I do astrology on there, but there's also tarot, oracle cards, crystals, a wide variety of spiritual practices. You name it, it's probably on there. We have people discussing herbalism and it's a phenomenal discussion. You're reading in fiction, they make these potions and they discuss the herbs. Well, hey, is that a real potion and can we make that? I mean, it's just some really interesting stuff. It's a great place to hang out. So do follow me on social media, like my posts and all that. I do readings and packages. If you want to see how your chart changes from tropical to true sidereal, get this quick 6 reading. It's 6 key points off your chart. I send you a recording. If you want a full birth or natal chart reading in evolutionary astrology, your birth chart is who you came here to become. It's your birth contract. It's a map of all your lessons, of your life lessons, and what the end all goal is. I can help you understand that. The karmic chart or past life reading, if you believe in past lives, this is a past life and you created karma, and how is that showing up in this lifetime and how do you heal it? Or if you're a one and done, it's a special lesson you came here to learn. I do horoscopes. I do 12 months in a row, 3 months in a row, or any 1 month. And 1 month is the 30-ish days, and it can be the first of the month, the end of the month, or new moon to new moon. Different people like different things. I'll read it. And I do have packages that combine these together in different levels. And the packages have a discount built in. So thank you for watching this. Do like, follow, and share? Sign up for the newsletter. If you go to my website and you click on the sign up thing, all I need is an email address. You get a once a week update with all this information, special discounts and promotions only are done through the newsletter. So like, follow, share, and thank you very much for watching this. And remember, in the visible sky, your life changes. Have the best week possible. If you celebrate Easter, today is Easter. It's how lost I am in my calendar and how exhausted I am. Happy Easter. If not, whatever you celebrate, enjoy it. Thank you very much and have the best week possible.